Welcome to the Intercut podcast channel, the weekly place to get the latest on the TV, movies, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, she's putting in a good word for us at the Canadian border. It's Amanda, the Jedi.
Yeah, you better watch yourselves. I am technically trying to save you from a lot of issues, so, you know.
I mean, we're already dealing with some potential Air Canada issues. Hopefully everybody has booked themselves on a flight that will definitely get them there in time for the Toronto Film Festival, ready to camp out at the Scotiabank, provided that that flight gets him there. We're also joined by Chase Azarian. How you feeling about TIFF year 2 for you, Chase?
Right now, I'm feeling paranoid. This is not sponsored by Porter Airlines, but it's about to be the way I'm looking at flights. That was right before we hopped on here, but I'm feeling good. You know, I kind of got my rookie year out of the way. I think a lot of the thoughts I had about the festival of what it was, because I only had Sundance as an experience prior, and they couldn't be more different in a lot of ways. So I think this year, I'm not stressing about my schedule as much. I'm trying to just see what I'm most excited for, leaving it open to see what films premiere at Venice and get buzz, what films premiere earlier in the festival that get buzz. So this year I'm kind of just going in with a more relaxed mindset. I'm just excited to be there this year and hang out with you guys.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, TIFF is always such a good time. We have gone back again and again because there are just so many offerings. It is interesting bringing up that comparison of Sundance, because while Sundance, I think for us, is often a festival of discovery, of finding new filmmakers, of getting surprised by movies, TIFF is a star-studded event. You have movies with big celebrities, you have returning champion filmmakers, you have a lot of movies, more just a greater slate of movies than most of the other film festivals we travel to. So it becomes so hard to sort through all of it. And that's partly why we're doing this. We are going through our 31 most anticipated movies of the festival, as well as giving you just a sort of general preview of 2025 here on Intercut. A lot of things to get excited for, a lot of things to consider. We'll talk about all the movies that we're most excited to see, and maybe a couple others that we're just curious about as well. But just want to talk some more generally about our thoughts going into the festival. Chase, I know you were talking about how you're approaching things a little bit differently now with the experience of having gone once before. But for people who are going to TIFF for the first time in 2025, what would you have liked to have known before you went last year, or what were the best pieces of advice you got going into your first TIFF?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, someone I know actually messaged me this about a month ago, so luckily I'm a bit prepared for the question, but I think the big difference is like Toronto is almost, as someone that hasn't gone to every film festival, kind of like the perfect film festival to begin with. It's super easy to get around. You're in a major city, so it's not like Sundance, you have to take a bus everywhere and kind of hope that you make it. Toronto and the entire TIFF staff make it super easy to get around. Everything's probably within a 5-minute walk of each other. And then I think the biggest thing I didn't realize going in was you could kind of cater it to whatever situation you're in. Like if you want to be there for the movie stars and the big world premieres, like you're probably going to pay a bit more money in that first major weekend. But if you're somebody that just wants to see as many movies as you can, and you're kind of trying to do it on a budget, the entire second half of the festival is pretty affordable compared to everything else. Like you might not get the movie stars. Sometimes a director or someone will show up and still do a Q&A after, but it does give you that flexibility of, listen, I just want to watch these 5 movies in particular. If you go the last day last year, I was kind of the only one in our group that was still there. I had seen everything by that point, but I had still needed to watch Queer, and I went to a Queer screening that didn't have like the biggest sold out crowd. So if you're somebody that's more so trying to see as many movies as possible, I do think looking into going in the second half is pretty beneficial. And yeah, it's an awesome time to be around a bunch of people that in your personal life, not everyone's going to be talking about sentimental value, not everyone's in the know, but you're surrounded by people that's what they want to talk about. So I think in terms of that, you have to go to Toronto at least once.
Definitely. A lot of these screenings are taking place in large theaters that are, typically used for theater or live performance, and they're bigger than your average movie theater size. So if you're looking at screenings at the Roy Thompson or the Royal Alexandria or the Princess of Wales, even if those movies show up as sold out for the time being, a lot of those are places that have tickets reserved and will continue to release them throughout the week. So like Chase is saying, if you think you aren't able to see some movies because there's a lot of buzz around them in the first couple of days, if you spend enough time in Toronto, it's pretty easy to catch a second or third screening if that's what you really want to do, unless it's one of those like super hyped movies that has like a gigantic fan base or celebrity attached to it. But that is one of the things that's fun about TIFF, is you really are able to mold it to the type of festival you want it to be. Amanda, I know you are the veteran of TIFF and you've got your resources. You're always scrolling the Reddits, finding the latest ticket drops and stuff like that. Any resources or things that people should be looking out for if they want to make the most of their time in Toronto?
I'll tell everybody in 5 days when I get my, I'm joking. No, there's a TIFF ticket subreddit that is really good. You will get scalpers there though. You kind of have to weigh the pros and cons, but this year TIFF almost feels like they're the ones doing a little bit of scalping. There were like orchestra center tickets that were going for like $150, and like
that dynamic pricing is tough on your wallet.
Yeah, it's wild. So that's basically what I paid for a Nora last year from a reseller. So that was worth it for me. But this is also, I don't know, I would have lost my mind if I hadn't had that, if I hadn't seen that movie there. So it really depends, but that one's really good. You'll get a lot of people that are just trying to look to make their money back. Like they just want to have covered whatever they paid into it. You will get a lot of people that are nice like that. A lot of scams though, like really make sure that anybody you're reaching out to hasn't already been mentioned in, there's like a thread that shows like successful and scammers. We'll always read through that. If someone isn't commenting on any of the threads and just cold messaging you on Reddit, it's probably because they've already been banned from the subreddit and don't want to make it easier, or they don't want to make it easier for people to like get them banned. So just be careful. There is a way that there are some things that you can confirm things, but it requires giving your like biometric data. And I'm like, I'm not giving you my ID. So there's just lots of ways to make it work. That's a really good one. Just keep advantage of that. Kind of learn the rush lines. You can get a lot of really good stuff from the rush lines, especially from the bigger premieres. You just have to show up earlier, but there are always so many seats. I remember Glass Onion's premiere, they messed up somehow and didn't sell any of the like Visa Infinite tickets for that, or like most of them weren't sold. So there was like a solid at least like 75 seats or more in that premiere that weren't full. And even the ushers were like, what happened? And it was like they couldn't flood people in. They started flooding people in from the rush line eventually, but it was like,
between like the seats that get reserved for Visa card holders or just the seats that end up getting reserved in case like a celebrity needs a few tickets and by the last minute.
Press has an entire pool.
Or seats that people who have tickets and just don't show up. There usually are people who get in from those rush lines. So if you know your way around them, you can sneak into some movies that are in pretty high demand as well. So lots of different ways to go about TIFF, lots of different movies to see at TIFF. A lot to be excited for. We should talk about those movies we're most excited to see, and we'll get into that in just a second. But first, make sure you're subscribed to the Intercut podcast, whether it's the video podcast here on YouTube at youtube.com/intercutpod or the audio podcast available on most podcatchers. Make sure you're tuned in. You can follow Intercut across social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are at Intercut Pod. That's Intercut POD, and that is short for podcast. You can also support the show for as little as $3 a month here on YouTube by clicking the join button or by going to our Patreon page, patreon.com/intercutpod, and signing up to join the Intercuties, which gets you early access to episodes just like this one, access to our exclusive chat channel on Discord, and an invitation to our monthly Intercutie video calls. Also, be sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because if we get to 250 5-star reviews on Apple, maybe we can go to TIFF and watch a movie together. I don't know. We'll be there. We tend to be there for a new Toronto International Film Festival.
And theoretically, we could be in the same theaters.
You never know. Maybe you'll figure out our schedule, but we're not revealing it now. We're just going to reveal the movies we're most excited to see. There are. Did anybody catch how many features they have at Toronto? I feel like they usually break 100. Maybe I'll have
way
Caitlin.
more available
research how many future titles they have in this year's TIFF so I can drop that in. But we are sorted through and picked at least 31 here. Maybe we'll touch on a couple others that we're really, really excited for. I'm going to give Chase the honors of kicking us off because he's got some honorable mentions that we've already talked about before on Intercut.
I do. So I'm going to throw the honor back to you because I don't know much about these movies. But 3 that I'm really looking forward to, because even though I did Sundance virtually this year, when you do some film festivals, you don't get access to everything. But If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is a huge one that I've heard nothing but buzz from, especially from you guys, along with Train Dreams. Those seem to be 2 of the bigger movies from Sundance last year that I really don't know much about, if I'm being honest. I just know they have pretty good names. They sound interesting. They've gotten great reviews. That's all I need to know about a movie that I'm excited for. And then from South by Southwest, we have Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. I don't know what to expect. I did get a syllabus from Zach of everything I have to catch up on before I get there. But I've seen nothing but 5-star reviews, and that gets me pretty excited. So I'll let you guys take the wheels. Which of these 3 should I be the most excited for? What can I expect, I guess?
They're literally all so different.
Yeah.
Like they are literally
Incomparable.
There's you have like some overlap. Like there's a little bit of drama in both Train Dreams, If I Had Legs, and then there's like this crazy absurdist stuff in both If I Had Legs and Nirvana. Nirvana and Train Dreams have nothing in common. But they're it really depends. Like, I think Nirvana is going to be the best experience. Like, think of like how Friendship felt last year. Even like we saw it at the same one, like a few screenings in, and it was really hype. I feel like it's going to be the same here because the whole movie is also shot in Toronto. So like people are going to be more excited about it. It's a homecoming. It feels like Toronto.
And Matt Johnson is somebody who tends to show up at TIFF every year, regardless of whether or not he has a movie there as a Toronto guy. It's definitely going to be a huge event. I've already seen it, so it's not a movie that I have on my like most anticipated, but the ticket that I want more than any other ticket is the Nirvana Midnight Madness screening, because that is going to be a madhouse. I'm so excited for that. You know, it's such an irreverent comedy. It's very, very meta in some ways, but also just so such an interesting experiment in how storytelling can work, because it feels like almost improvised in aspects with the way that they use public settings for their scenes. It's just a really wild and hilarious movie. So that is probably the one that I would be the most hyped to see, because I think you're going to have a great time at that one. I also think that, you know, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is probably going to be, for me, one of the best movies of the year. This reminds me of another film that I first caught at Toronto, Uncut Gems, in that it is a nonstop anxiety attack from start to finish. This film does a really interesting thing in really just centering you in Rose Byrne's character's experience as this mother who is just constantly trying to catch up with the different things going off in her life and going wrong in her life, I guess I should say. And it's a film that, more so than any other film I've seen, that really speaks to the experience of drowning in your own life. She's just constantly trying to come up for air and is unable to. And I found it to be really viscerally effective in that way. But I also thought that Train Dreams was quite beautiful. This is a really like lyrical movie that's an adaptation of a novella that I think Amanda had a chance to read, right? Yeah.
And it's a very good adaptation of that novella by Dennis Johnson, I believe the name is.
Yes.
It's really just this look at a man's life and just seeing how much things changed from like the industrial age into more modern, and the things he's gone through. If I describe certain things that happen in it, you'd be like, this is the most depressing movie I've ever heard of in my life, but it still somehow feels like beautiful by the time it's done. Just an easy recommend there.
Yeah, I recently read the novel Stoner, which is this excellent story. I saw that you were reading it in Europe, right? Exactly. Yes. It's the same way that book and some stories where they just sort of give you like a picture of the scope of a person's life, where you really you see things happen around them and the way they feel just like a leaf in the river of existence. That Train Dreams is so effective in just showing you like the way that the world is this like massive unstoppable thing. And there's this one shot in particular that is burned in my brain where a piece of technology is introduced, and it's just like time, like you get goosebumps from the feeling of time having passed. So a really beautiful movie, definitely one that I think you'll find worthwhile if you get a chance to catch it in Toronto.
Yeah, if this was like a smaller film festival, I'd probably consider making time for it again, because we'll never get another
100%.
chance to watch it in theaters. So
That's right. It got picked up by Netflix, so this is a rare chance to see it on the big screen for some people.
There you go. I'm excited for all three. So I'm a late bloomer this year with the movies, and to know that there's three off the bat that everyone already mutually agrees on seems like I haven't seen anybody dislike any of the three of these films. So I'm super excited to check out all three. Yeah.
For sure. Let us know about the movies you're most excited to see that we haven't seen, though.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to go out of order to make a smooth transition, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to throw off the order here. I kind of made two different lists. I made one of, these are the top 5 movies that I'm probably most interested in seeing. And then I made a list of 5 that probably aren't as high on people's radar, that maybe could end up being a dud, could end up being one of those movies that sneaks in. Like this time last year, people were aware of The Brutalist, but no one knew the hype that was going to end up getting until it premiered at Venice. So not that any of the 5 I mentioned on that list will be The Brutalist, but you never know. They seem to be catching my eye.
There's one that we're talking about in a little bit that has some similarities with The Brutalist, but I don't need to jump the gun.
We'll get there. We gotta let people. We gotta keep people's attention on the video. So nice tease right there.
It's a little tease.
The first one I'm going to talk about is a double feature of one of my favorite filmmakers, Richard Linklater, who even though he's one of my favorite filmmakers, I haven't been blown away with a lot of the stuff he's made recently, but I wouldn't be on a podcast like this if it weren't for Rick Linklater. I absolutely love the guy. I will watch everything he makes. And he's got 2 movies that have already premiered at different film festivals, but and they're kind of similar in different ways. They're both about the creation of 2 very important pieces of art from the perspective of artists that are or were supposedly involved in a little bit. I don't know the full story of each, we have Nouvelle Vague, I believe is how you are supposed to pronounce it. Nouvelle Vague. I'm clearly very fluent
Thank you,
in
French speaker.
This is presenting the story of Jean-Luc Godard making Breathless, which admittedly is a movie I've only seen once. I wasn't blown away with it, but I do appreciate everything it's kind of done. It was the start of filmmakers making a movie being like, yeah, but what if we don't do it the way you're supposed to do it? So there's this whole experimental take on it that I am interested in seeing. I was very skeptical when I heard Linklater was making that movie, but the reviews coming out of Cannes are generally pretty positive about it. So it is one I'm interested in seeing. I'm going to try and rewatch Breathless before I go back. And then on the other side, you have Blue Moon, which takes place the night that the famous Broadway play Oklahoma is premiering, I believe. And it follows Ethan Hawke, who plays Lorenz Hart. I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about Broadway. I'm not going to be the person that... I've never even seen Oklahoma. I'm going to try and watch a film adaptation before I get there. But I love movies about artists, debating if art's worth making, if, art is going to last even beyond this time period, And just hearing the one interview I heard of Linklater talk about it, it seems like I'm probably a little more interested in this one. It just seems a bit more up my alley. But both seem like hangout movies about artists that made very monumental pieces of art, and that is something that's very up my alley. So I'm excited for both.
Yeah, those are 2 that are the most hype for me. And I believe I'm about to get the confirmation that I'll be able to double feature those the first day of the film festival, because Chase, I just got our Sentimental Value tickets.
Hey, let's go.
Let's go.
But yeah, I'm very excited for both of those, especially just kind of getting to go to 2 movies that are fairly different from the same director back to back, just to see how that ends up panning out. I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, Chase, when you were talking about your affection for Richard Linklater earlier, it made me think of another director who we'll talk about in a little bit that is pretty reliable, Steven Soderbergh, who I'm not always completely blown away by his movies, but he's putting out a movie every year, and they're always really interesting, and I've got just a season ticket for whatever he's got going on. I'm always interested in what he's going to offer. We'll talk about Soderbergh's offering in a little bit. But to mention those Linklater movies a bit more, I think I agree with you in that I'm slightly more excited about Blue Moon than Nouvelle Vague. I'll be there for both of them. Blue Moon, as you mentioned, is about the lyricist Lawrence Hart. And more specifically, the plot of that film is him confronting his former collaborator, Richard Rodgers, on the night of Oklahoma's premiere. To me, it gives me a little bit of like an Amadeus vibe, like the creative who's seeing himself get surpassed or something like that. And I love, that's one of my favorite movies. So if there's even a little inkling of that there, I think I'm going to like what Blue Moon is sort of about and discussing. So intriguing movies, the both of them. What else do you have in your most intriguing?
Yeah, and I'm kind of going the reverse order. So those aren't my top ones. That's a tie for my fifth spot. Next, cool. I'm going with one of the Safdies, the only Safdie that's going to Toronto this year. I'm putting the Smashing Machine in here. I've seen a little bit of the trailer. These are the types of biopics that could go either way. It could be really, really great or kind of like, yeah, that was good. It might get nominated for some Oscars. But what really sold me on this was my dad, in his retirement, has read a lot of books. And he said the book on Mark Kerr, I believe is how you pronounce his name, is super interesting. Like to the point where he was like, I think this movie is going to surprise a lot of people. He's got a crazy story. Nice. And the trailer hints that it's probably in the range of a typical biopic, but he mentioned something about one character. I was like, Dad, I'm not researching the story. Like, you got to let me experience the way that Benny Safdie is going to present the story. But regardless, I was thinking of checking out, there's a documentary with the same name of the Smashing Machine that I was debating if I should check out or not. But I think I'm just going to go into this blind. I don't know much about UFC in general. Apparently, this guy's a legend within the sport and had a pretty crazy life. And if you have a Safdie brother behind it, that's all I need. I don't need much to be sold on movies these days, besides if it's a great director telling a story of a very interesting person. I'm probably most curious about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's performance. This is a guy that has undeniably always been a movie star, hasn't really gotten the chance to show how good of an actor he is. But I think there's got to be something with this performance, because right after he got cast in whatever Martin Scorsese's next movie is as like the main villain, I believe. So I have a feeling this is going to be better than what I'm expecting it to be. So I am very optimistic about this.
Yeah, there's a lot of really intriguing things about the Smashing Machine. You mentioned that there is a documentary. It has the same name. I've heard from people who are like really into UFC that it is one of the like best UFC documentaries ever. So that might be a worthwhile watch. I haven't seen that one. I don't know a huge amount about Mark Kerr, but I do also find it intriguing that this is Dwayne Johnson kind of taking a chance. Like if you've been watching his career, the movies haven't been hitting that much. Some diminishing returns in his blockbusters, and it's been a little while since we've seen him take on a role where it feels like he's really challenging himself as an actor. It's been, a decade and a half, almost 2 decades since Pain and Gain, which is the last time I can remember him being like really great in a movie. I've always thought that he is good as an actor when he wants to be. It just doesn't seem like he's that interested in it that often. So hopefully this is that one. Benny Safdie is directing this. Obviously, it's the first movie that he and his brother are involved with post their directorial breakup of sorts, and we're getting 2 different sports movies from them this fall, A24 sports movies. I feel like I kind of prefer the trailer for the Smashing Machine, though. I'm a little I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm not completely sold, but I definitely want to see this one. Amanda, was Smashing Machine also one of the movies you're anticipating for the festival?
Yeah, I'm always interested to see what the Safdies are getting up to, or the Safdie, just to see what they're up to separately. Case? Yeah, we're going to get another like Joel versus Ethan, matchup with these two to see who's actually better. But
who brings what to the stew?
Who brings what? I really like the look of this in the trailer. I was really, when they cast The Rock, I was like, I don't know. But then he committed to doing the face prosthetics and stuff. I'm like, isn't The Rock supposed to, Emily's usually always great and doesn't tend to sign on to bad projects very frequently. So I think it could have the juice as long as he's like, I'm hoping that The Rock took this on to break out of that idea that he's only ever The Rock. So we'll have to see what happens there. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, a trailer's just a trailer, but he does look pretty transformed in that trailer. So I'm definitely curious to see what he's bringing to the table in Smashing Machine. Chase, what else you got for us?
Yeah. Next up on my most anticipated, this jumped a few slots higher because I watched The Handmaiden for the first time last night. I was super behind on checking that out. Awesome movie if you haven't checked it out. I won't say anything more than that. But Park Chan-wook is a big-time name right now. He's been in the news for various different reasons. But besides that, I'm a big fan of his movies. And No Other Choice sounds very simple on the surface, like a lot of his movies do. Pretty much follows the story of a guy that's been unemployed for several years, and he develops a unique plan to secure a new job by eliminating his competition. That's all it says. That's all I need to know. This is a guy that, even though I didn't love Decision to Leave, his last movie, I know a lot of people did, I thought it was solid. I don't remember too much about it at this point, if I'm being honest. I have terrible memory, but I'm there as soon as I possibly can to see this movie. That's all I'll say. Purposely haven't looked too much into it. I'm sure it'll end up being wild in some degree. So I'm very excited for this.
Exactly the same boat as you. I love Park Chan-wook. I was so excited for this. Didn't feel the need to look into anything. I didn't even read that description you just said out loud, Chase. I just saw the director's name. It's fine. It's fine. So thankfully that one, thanks to Elevation Pictures, I'm catching an early screening of it the day right before TIFF starts. So thankfully that is taken care of, and I don't have to worry about fitting a 2.5-hour movie into my schedule somewhere anymore. So that's very nice. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. How about you, Zach?
Yeah, definitely on my list. You mentioned that premise, and we're talking Park Chan-wook. Something about that makes me immediately recall Old Boy, a movie that did, go to extreme lengths in executing on that premise. So I don't know. He's just such a singular filmmaker. Every film that I've seen from him is memorable in its own way, even if there's some that are better than others. I like you, Amanda, was a big fan of Decision to Leave, so the hype seems to be pretty high on this one. I'm pretty stoked to see No Other Choice.
It's at Venice, right? Is it also Venice? No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
No, it's not. It's not. Hang on, I literally have a list of this.
I know it's coming to New York later.
It's not. Ha! We win once. One time we win.
There you go.
Chase, what else you got on your top 5?
Yeah, I guess in the second slot, this is one that has gotten more and more on my radar. Frankenstein from Guillermo del Toro. And obviously this is a pretty anticipated movie. I'm not honestly the biggest del Toro fan. I like his movies. I'm not head over heels for them on
I would say
releases.
I'm in the same boat as you there.
Okay, there you go.
He's an excellent filmmaker, but he's not the person who typically gets me super excited.
Same here. And the reason I'm looking forward to this one, though, in particular, I'm not a big Universal monster movie guy, but again, to bring my dad reading for the second time this podcast, I was talking to him probably a few months ago, and he's like, man, did you ever read the original Frankenstein book? And I haven't. So I was kind of pretty naive about what it's actually about. And he was going on and on about like how much better the book is and how different it is than the depiction we've seen of Frankenstein over the last 100 years with the way Universal has done the character.
Okay.
He's supposed to be like this very poetic, like still beautiful, but a monster kind of thing. And the anger that gets built up that he is a monster more and more. And Del Toro hasn't talked too much about the movie yet, which is understandable. It hasn't come out yet, but he has straight up said this is not a horror movie. So I'm starting to think, from what the research I've done on Reddit recently, there has not been a true adaptation of the book yet. So I have a feeling this is going to be that. He hasn't said whether it is or not, but I'm very much looking forward to it. I think he might deliver on what the book sets out to do. It seems like they haven't shown much of Jacob Elordi as the monster yet. It seems like he's going that route. And
he's
if
got
it
the
is,
face.
Yeah. It's covered a little bit. Awesomely stacked cast with Elordi, Oscar Isaac, Mia Goth. And even if I'm not the biggest Del Toro fan, I love his style. He is the guy to make a monster movie. So
absolutely,
his take on Frankenstein, I am very excited to see.
Yeah, I think I'm interested to see where it falls on like the scale for like Nosferatu, because I loved what Eggers did with it, because he used a lot of like the time in the last 100 years to inform how he's telling this story now, while it's still feeling very much of 100 years ago. So I'm interested to see if Del Toro does any of that, because obviously there are a lot of layers to Frankenstein, and also, you know, being written by a woman back then and that being a huge novel thing. So I'm interested to see what he does with it. Again, I'm kind of like you, Chase. Like, on paper, I'm not super interested. It's just like the hope of what it could end up being, you know?
Yeah.
My monster choice is vampires, then werewolves. So, you know, it's whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you both alluded to this, but if there's anybody suited to bring Mary Shelley's words to life, it probably is our foremost appreciator and probably the current king of making monster movies. It is Guillermo del Toro. So I'm definitely excited for his vision. Like, if you on paper, if you tell me, oh, there's a new Frankenstein movie coming out, I don't need that. I've gotten that. You know, my favorite version of Frankenstein is Young Frankenstein. That's a comedy that makes fun of all this. But Guillermo del Toro is the kind of person where if he wants to tackle a movie like this, you gotta at least give him the time of day. And I'm also, like you mentioned, Chase, very excited to get Oscar Isaac back in a lead role. I feel like we went from having so much Oscar Isaac to not enough Oscar Isaac, and I need some more of that man. So
I agree.
hopefully this movie delivers.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. And again, I believe a Netflix movie, so that's the benefit of going to film festivals like this.
Oh, yeah.
This
that's
is
probably why it
something
has so many screenings. I think that's why it and Wake Up Dead Man have so many screenings. And obviously, too, it's very much like Amelia Perez of last year. They got to lure in the voters.
Exactly.
And you know what? Yeah. It worked for them that time.
It did. And maybe it works here. I haven't seen this on a lot of Oscar ballots, but you know, this guy, Nightmare Alley, got nominated for Best Picture. Wasn't the biggest movie in terms of talk of the town, but it got nominated.
Shape of Water won Best Picture. Yeah.
So this might be a sleeper hit at the Oscars. We'll see. I hope it's good.
For sure.
But I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, and Amanda, you mentioning that it's Netflix and it got all those screenings, it also reminded me that none of these Netflix movies that come to TIFF end up playing at the Scotiabank. They're all in the big theaters because of Scotiabank's ongoing conflict. What do we call it? Rivalry with Netflix?
Yeah, rivalry, which works out for us because it means that those second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth sometimes screenings all have like 1,000+ seats, or at least hundreds of seats.
Exactly.
So that is the benefit there. That is definitely coming in handy. Literally, as of right now, Knives Out is the only one that has like multiple sold out screenings. Frankenstein is just the premiere, so you got a chance. You got a chance to get in there.
Yeah. All right, Chase, you're most anticipated for TIFF 2025?
Yes, and it's embarrassing. I still can't pronounce this guy's name right. Joachim Trier. Is that how you say it?
Isn't it Joachim? Isn't it like?
I didn't want to say Joaquin because I wasn't positive.
I don't actually think it's that. I heard someone say it once. Joachim. Yeah, probably more that because it's Scandinavian.
And you know what's cool about a guy that makes great artistic movies like this is I've seen interviews with him. He's not pretentious. I don't think he'd be pissed if I got his name wrong. So he seems like a really just cool, chill guy. But he's most known for making Worst Person in the World, most recently, a movie a lot of people online love. But his new film, Sentimental Value, kind of killed it at Cannes this year. He apparently delivered something that a lot of people think is better than Worst Person in the World. I think Reprise, his directional debut, I believe, is super underrated. I definitely recommend that if you haven't seen that. The only reason it's my most anticipated, I love movies that people say are masterpieces. And that's been the sentiment, I guess, for this movie recently. I'm super excited for it. Amanda is the homie. She secured a ticket for me, so I know I will be seeing this opening night of the festival now. Don't know much about it. Kind of keep that on purpose for a lot of movies for me. Like I said, the thing that gets me most excited for a movie is the director behind it. And if you say a director made arguably their best movie, it's going to be the one I'm looking forward to the most. I know relatively nothing about this. So.
Same, but I just know that I loved Worst Person in the World. We've had Charlie XCX doing intros for this movie. Also, I found out apparently it's Joachim.
Thank you.
Joachim Trier. Okay,
Joachim,
there we go.
Yeah.
We'll try and commit that to memory.
Yeah, Joachim.
You know, early in the year when nobody had seen any of these movies and people try to make their like super early Oscar predictions being included, I was a little hesitant to include this in my top 10, not because I wasn't excited for it, because I loved The Worst Person in the World so much. I figured it'd be hard to follow that movie, which was so great, up with another movie that is that widely well received. based on the word out of Cannes, it seems like he's done that. Trier has managed to pull it off, and people are really lining up to praise this film. He's reunited here with Renat Reinsve, who I loved so much in that last film, and who's gone on to do some other interesting work in the time since then. And he's expanded the cast even beyond those two, with Elle Fanning playing a major role in this one. I don't know. There's just so many pieces to this puzzle that sound exciting. And like you, Chase, I'm trying to not know too much, because like the little bit that I know is enough to like guarantee my interest already. I'm preparing to be emotionally destroyed by Joachim Trier.
Yeah, I really wish that Renat had actually been the person in Weapons. No hate to Julia Garner, but when I found out like all the other casting, I was like, but then that one I was like, ooh,
could have been there.
Could have been there.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh. But
interesting.
Yeah, excited.
Yeah. Chase, you also sent me 5 other titles that aren't your most anticipated, but you said they're on your radar.
Yes. These are movies, could be a hit, could be a dud. Interested in them for completely different reasons. The one is a director I've never seen a movie from, but I will admit that I should by now. This guy's name is Mamoru Hosoda. That's how you go. He is, sorry, man, because he deserves respect. What's that?
Said you nailed it, sweetie. I don't even know if you did.
I've been practicing it all morning. But this guy, besides Hayao Miyazaki, is regarded as probably the best living anime director that we have. He consistently hits at the Oscars, not consistently hits at the Oscars, but consistently hits with his movies in general. Boy and the Beast is a big one that I think is playing in theaters tonight in honor of an anniversary, or just like encouraging people to see his movies. But he has this film called... Yeah, there you go. So he has this film called Scarlet playing there. I believe, if it's not pulling up right now, I think it's an adaptation of Hamlet.
Yes, it is. It's one of 3 Hamlet-centric or Hamlet-adjacent movies at TIFF.
Yes, yeah, it is.
And I might be getting into one like that in a second. But I am typically not a big anime guy, but the fact that he is as well regarded as he is, I feel like I'm still going to try and check it out. I'm going to try and check out a few of his films before I get to the festival. Like I said, might not have been able to pronounce his name right, but I don't think that matters. He is regarded as, besides Miyazaki, probably the best living anime guy that we have.
Yeah,
so.
I know people absolutely adore his film Wolf Children. He's also the filmmaker behind films like Belle, Mirai, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. I personally have not seen any of those, but I like to use moments like this as an excuse to go revisit those. So I, like you, might be trying to catch up on some Mamoru Hosoda films before we actually get to see Scarlet. As far as I know, is this the only animated feature in the festival this year?
No, there's one other one. I can't remember.
There's one other one.
Arco is a big one. Arco getting hype, I believe.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Okay, so maybe not the only one, but there aren't often many animated features in Toronto's lineup. Last year gave us Flow and The Wild Robot, so their standards are usually pretty high for.
It's true. And the year before that was Blue Heron, Boy and the Heron.
Yes,
Blue Heron's this year in a totally different movie, but TIFF does have higher animated standards, so that's very cool.
So if anything, this could be a big Oscar player for best animated feature at the end of the year. Maybe. I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
Let's talk about one of those other Hamlet adjacent movies.
Yeah, we got Hamnet, which is directed by Chloe Zhao, who we were talking about a little bit before the podcast. Someone I'm a pretty big fan of usually. Like, I did like Nomadland, didn't love Nomadland. Eternals, I thought I liked in the moment. Then we talked about Eternals for like 3 minutes. I'm like, maybe I didn't like Eternals that much.
You didn't know what any of the characters were called or did.
Yeah, exactly. That happens with a lot of movies. I remember my feeling towards them, and I'm like, couldn't tell you what happened, you know.
That's fair. That's fair.
I have terrible memory these days, but I'm interested in this one because I really like The Rider a lot. That's my favorite film from her so far.
I haven't seen it, so maybe I'll check that out, and I'll feel bad that I didn't really prioritize Hamnet.
Fair. There you go. This one's kind of going under the radar, though, for someone that just won Best Picture and Best Director a few years ago.
Yeah.
It follows so this is based off a book, which is based off historical fiction of William Shakespeare's son passing away at a very young age. So it follows Agnes Shakespeare more so, and her struggle with dealing with the loss of a son, while her husband, William Shakespeare, writes Shakespeare plays that go on to change the world.
Yeah.
So I don't know much about the story other than I know the basic premise. I know the director. You got Paul Mescal, you got Jesse Buckley, I believe, and
Jesse
Emily
is playing
Watson's in
Agnes,
here.
and Paul Mescal is playing William Shakespeare.
Yes,
There
he
you
is.
go. Joe Alwyn's in there. He's had a good streak of being in great movies recently, so I think this one could be on the up.
I want to see how depraved he is in this one because those are the only. That's what he does the best.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see.
So I'm
Yeah,
personally excited.
It's weird. Like you mentioned that Chloe Zhao, there's like a weird skepticism around her, given that, you know, she is somebody who had so much acclaim for Nomadland and then made Eternals, which for various reasons, I think soured different people on her in different ways. I'm curious to see her take another shot at things. I can't say that I'm usually the most intrigued by like Shakespearean type of material, but this is like a historical fiction based on that. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
it feels
I rented
different.
the audiobook recently. I'm starting to work my way through it. I'm still not far, but I'll definitely be checking out Hamnet if I can fit it into my schedule.
There you go. So
Yeah.
we have that.
The next movie on your list, I saw the trailer for last night, actually, for the first time, and the tone threw me off so much considering this director's previous work.
We have.
Do you want to talk about Roofman a bit?
Sure. I'll talk about Roofman to start. I'll be honest. So I think based off what I've talked about on this podcast, I'm someone that tries to avoid trailers as much as possible because I know I'm going to see the movie. I might as well try and keep as much of it as vague as possible. I saw a little bit of the trailer and I was kind of like, okay, I hope it's good. That being said, though, I was such a Place Beyond the Pines truther back in the day. That was one of those movies that
I didn't know it was that guy. I didn't know it was that guy.
It's Derek C. and Franz. Yeah, it's that guy that also made Blue Valentine.
Yeah.
Then he made Light Between Oceans, which was solid, I remember, but really went under the radar. Wrote Sound of Metal.
Yeah, because oh my God, he did. Yeah, because that's another one that the premiere sold out for.
Yeah.
Roofman's gone.
Yeah,
I think the most
I
recent
believe it.
thing he did was that limited series on HBO where Mark Ruffalo played
right?
twins. I know this much is true.
Oh, yeah. This much is true.
So this is a guy that is filled with talent, just hasn't put out as many things as I expected him to. Like there are some movies this guy's made that maybe they didn't hold up for me the way they did when I was like 17, but man, he is talented. Like I said, wasn't blown away by the trailer, but I'm definitely gonna try and check this out, and I think could be a sleeper hit.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Blue Valentine, which is one of the most like emotionally rending films about a relationship I've ever seen. And you look at a film like Place Beyond the Pines, which is also like a really searing drama about the legacy of violence across generations. And then you see the trailer for Roofman, and I think it looks good, but it has a tone that's more similar to like Richard Linklater's Hitman or something like that.
I had a moment where I was
loved.
like, maybe it's going to be like Hitman, but it could also maybe be like, what was that one we saw last year with the kids? The opening night one.
Nutcrackers?
Was that what that was called? Nutcrackers?
I think so.
The Ben Stiller one,
Yeah,
right?
I didn't think it was going to be quite so syrupy sweet, but I'm like, is that this year's that?
Yeah,
Is that this year's palate cleanse? Like, what's going on here?
Because it does feel like pretty mainstream in its tone, which isn't
That's more what
necessarily
I
a
mean,
bad thing.
Not bad
but
thing.
it could go either way, like Chase was sort of alluding to. So I don't know. I like Derek C. Franz a lot as a filmmaker.
Me too.
I think Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst, Lakeith Stanfield, Juno Temple, Peter Dinklage, Uzo
That's why
Aduba,
I was
Ben
interested.
Mendelsohn. That's a great cast.
It was
Emery
the
Cohen even.
cast,
He's bringing back his Place Beyond the Pine star for this movie. So
Nice.
I'm going to keep my expectations high, I think.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I hope it's good. Just like how I hope this other one is good. Ballad of a Small Player, which I know Zach has a theory about this that I'll let him get into in a second. But if you don't know, this is the next film from Edward Berger, most well known for last year's Conclave, the year before he did All Quiet on the Western Front. A movie a lot of people don't love. I think he's 2 for 2 for me personally.
I think he's 2 for 2.
Yeah, and the story of this one sounds right up my alley. High-stakes gambler decides to lay low after his past and debts catch up with him. Along the way, he encounters a kindred spirit who might just hold the key to his salvation, and that is played by Tilda Swinton, the main guy played by Colin Farrell. That's all I need to know. You know, I think it sounds pretty good. Zach has a theory about how this might not be good.
I might counter that theory because I feel like that rule stops applying sometimes if the movie's premiering somewhere else.
Okay. There you go.
So
But it's still hard to say because a lot of the big movies have premiered somewhere else and are getting opening weekend.
My theory is if a film is doing its world premiere in the back half of the TIFF lineup, then it's probably a stinker because they're waiting until most of the main press leaves town. That rule applies less firmly for the films that, as Amanda was alluding to, have premiered elsewhere because, you know, sometimes they just need stuff to fill the schedule and stuff like that too. But this is a movie that won't be playing at TIFF until the first Tuesday after the
9th,
festival. So
which is still, it's like,
yeah, like it's not the back half, but it's
not the back half.
A little later in the week. I'm not saying that's enough evidence to completely dismiss this film. And as Chase was saying, this is directed by Edward Berger. And even though I'm maybe like not a huge fan of All Quiet on the Western Front and maybe not as high on Conclave as like some of the Conclave hype people, that is a dude who like knows how to make a movie. He knows how to pace a movie. He knows how to get people involved in the film. He's to me like a very solid filmmaker for sure. And I have to imagine that with a premise like this, with Colin Farrell in the lead, hopefully Ballad of a Small Player will be good. I did read the book for this one in preparation for the festival. Did not love it that much, I gotta say.
No.
Felt a little bit.
No.
It
Me
felt a
looking
little
at tickets right now, being like, close out.
It felt a little bit like if Leaving Las Vegas was about a gambler in Macau and Hong Kong, which maybe that sounds like an okay premise, but it was a lot of like sort of monologues about gambling and drinking and feeling lost and a very internal. That said, like the film can't be that internal. I can't imagine it's just going to be Colin Farrell in voiceover, right? So all that being said, Tilda Swinton's character is not in the book. So there is definitely some adapting going on here. So maybe Edward Berger's taken a book that I wasn't too big of a fan of and found the exciting elements of it to turn it into a fun gambling thriller in Macau with Colin Farrell. I'm definitely not out on this movie.
Okay, good to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still excited. I'm gonna cross my fingers. Hope it's good.
Yeah, we'll all keep them crossed.
The one that I haven't seen too many people talk about yet that I think could be the sleeper of the year, we have The Testament of Anne Lee.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few things going for this. First of all, it's directed by Mona Fastvold, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. She is the wife of Brady Corbet, who did The Brutalist. She wrote it with him.
Yes,
and they both wrote this one together as well, except now she is in the director chair. She made some films I haven't seen yet. It seems like you guys have The World to Come. Never saw it.
Oh, yeah.
In 2020, it
one
says
of
you
the
guys saw it.
Without Without Power movies, without electricity movies. It's number 2 on the list of 3, but it's very much in the it's the middle. It's Portrait's number 1, Ammonite's the last one. It's right in between.
Okay,
yeah,
sounds good.
It wasn't bad.
One of those
wasn't
mid-period piece lesbian movies.
Exactly.
Sapphic love stories.
Structurally, it was like one of the bigger. Structurally it had more issues. I think
it's a movie that I think did the festival circuit in 2020, so that's why it kind of feels a little bit lost.
Yeah, it was a digital.
I thought it was pretty solid.
Yeah,
it was solid.
I definitely have to check it out beforehand. You have pretty much this story I've never heard of. Maybe I'm just not in the know with my history, but there's this religious leader named Anne Lee who pretty much said she was the second coming of Christ and started this whole religion around her in the 1700s. She's played by Amanda Seyfried, and I don't know. Like, The Brutalist was a movie that came out last year. When I saw it at TIFF, I liked it. Was notoriously not as high on it. Rewatched it 2 times in theaters. Top 3 of the year for me. I loved it. It really grew on me. I think these two proved they could write a hell of a movie with The Brutalist. I think it's cool that she's directing this one. It seems like just visually the one screenshot I've seen is giving Brutalist vibes, you know? So
the table
of
shot,
her like screaming with the people around her. I think we got something here. I am very excited for it. I could be wrong. I'm getting good vibes from this. I think it's going to be a sleeper hit.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something about the way that The Brutalist was put together and the amount of care that is put into that movie that makes you think if this is from the same minds, this is going to be like a really considered film. And yeah, it feels silly to go off of one still, but I, like you, was pretty taken by that one still. It's
a damn good still.
There's a certain epic quality to it too, just in like the seemingly in the middle of all this movement of all these people. I don't know. I'm definitely think that Testament of Van Lee has that. There's some films that like don't get a lot of buzz going into a festival, but once people start talking about them, it becomes the talk of the festival. I would not be surprised to see that be the Testament of Van Lee's fate.
And it is in a small theater both times. It's at TIFF 1, but that means audio-wise, they think it's amazing.
Right. Yes. So that's another thing that we haven't talked about is the TIFF Bell Lightbox. That is the theater that has like the best projection and usually the best audio. Whenever they're trying to that's where we saw Brutus. Whenever they're trying to show a film on film, they will show it at the Lightbox. So it's worth noting that this is a movie they're trying to put into the Lightbox. I think that points to this being a really well crafted film that they want to show off those elements of. All right, so we secured our tickets for the Testament of Van Lee. We had to stop everything and make sure we're getting in.
Yeah, once I was like, wait, guys, they're all at the Lightbox. It's all at the Lightbox. This is the Brutalist all over again. So if you don't get in,
we're sorry about that. We took those tickets. Let's move on to a couple movies that Amanda is really excited for, starting with another one that is a bit of a tough ticket. Let's talk about why you're excited for Knives Out.
Ooh, okay.
3.
I just love those movies. I have such a good time with them, and I've caught every single one at TIFF. So like I have to keep it going. They're also just movies I love watching with my mom after. So I'm excited to have seen this and then get the inevitable Netflix viewing with her over the holidays. But that's another thing. Like I don't want to see it on Netflix. I want to see it in a theater. So this is like that opportunity. And this is one of those movies, the crowd's always great for it. And when you're at a film festival, those crowd moments are some of the best. Like you do want to go out and see these more artistic movies and these like hidden gems, but the big crowd pleasers you just can't beat. And sometimes you're lucky and you get a little mix of both up there. But I think this one's just going to be really fun. I love the Benoit Blanc character, so I'm excited.
Same. And, Rian Johnson, I think, is pretty underrated at this point, just as a really reliable filmmaker.
Yeah.
I can't say that there's any film of his he's made that I didn't like. I like both of the Knives Out movies, even if I think the second one isn't as good as the first. But they are just like really great suspenseful films. And sometimes it's really fun to just be in a crowd of people when like a big revelation happens and you know in a Benoit Blanc mystery that there's gonna be some big twist, big revelation. I'm also very intrigued by the fact that this one seems like maybe a little bit of a darker spin on this situation, these characters, that he's trading in the like brightness of what was it like the Greek countryside or the Greek beaches
for Glass Onion?
Glass Onion, yeah.
Yeah, might have been. It was Greece or Italy.
It's some Mediterranean coast, trading that in for something that's a little more like gothic in its aesthetics. I think it'll be good. I have faith in Wake Up Dead Man.
Anything. I know the
Neither
name.
did I.
I know the name. That's it. That's all that matters.
It's definitely going to be the biggest movie there this year, I would say.
It is, because there's multiple sold-out screenings of The Princess of Wales.
Already, yeah.
Of the biggest theater available, multiple sold-out screenings.
And once again, thank you to Amanda, because I will be seeing it officially, which is awesome. I wasn't blown away necessarily by either Knives Out movie, but they're undeniably fun. And it's so far 2 for 2 in terms of people debate which one's better. They're pretty close to being on par for, I think, a lot of people. So I'm expecting same director, same lead, another solid cast. It's probably going to be in that ballpark of at least probably almost as good as the first two, if not better. So, yeah.
I assume, again, reliable. I'm going to have a good time. I know I'm going to have a good time.
Exactly.
I would bet against it being bad. I don't think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be at least pretty damn fun. So,
yeah.
Amanda, what else you have on your most anticipated TIFF list?
There's one that I'm really looking forward to called Nino. It got really good reviews out of Cannes. I think it's sitting at a 3.7 on Letterboxd right now. Stars Theodore Pellerin, who is in Lurker, which we all really liked this year. Well, Chase hasn't seen it yet, but the rest of us really liked out of Sundance. And it's coming out at the end of this month. So I'm just excited to see what's up with it. He's a really good actor. Apparently it's a French movie, but he's from Quebec, so Canadians stealing jobs.
There you go.
There we go.
I don't even look what it was about. I just saw him. So yeah, it's apparently he gets a diagnosis over his birthday weekend, and he's trying to like navigate that with his family and trying to, because everybody's like, oh, it's your birthday. So it's like navigating that side of things. So I'm pretty excited. Because I'm pretty sure, if he doesn't get aggressive treatment within like immediately, like all hope is gone. So, and then it's your birthday weekend. So I'm interested. Looking forward to that.
A couple of our Intercut buddies, Ewan and Brother Bro, both gave it 3.5s out of Con as well. And
Awesome.
it's exciting seeing Theodore Pellerin emerge as an exciting young actor. So curious about that one.
Absolutely. The other one I'm looking forward to is Bad Apples. Another one. Don't know what it's about. I saw Saoirse Ronan and I was like, please let this be the one. Because Saoirse's always great. Anything she's in, she's great. She's just kind of been given the shaft lately. I literally, every time I'm like, they didn't give her the Oscar for Little Women because in their minds, they were like, we have to give it to a legacy person. She's young. She'll have other chances. And she hasn't hit a movie that's come anywhere close to that sense, even if her performances are always great. So I'm really hoping that this might end up being one of the ones that breaks it. I think it was one of the highest anticipated movies at the festival, according to TIFF, in terms of how many people wanted to see it versus how much availability there was for it. And apparently she is a primary school teacher and she needs to take drastic action in her class because there's like a violent student and people are just turning a blind eye to it.
The plot description says she makes a series of bad decisions, and any movie that's about a character making a series of bad decisions, I think, has the potential to be quite exciting. And so as you mentioned, Saoirse is one of our best actors, and feels like we're due for a great role for her.
Yeah, it's either going to be really, really good or it's going to be so incredibly frustrating based on that premise.
But she'll be great regardless.
But she'll be great regardless.
Either way.
We'll find out. Another one that I thought looked really good was Sacrifice. It kind of had a bit of a, I don't know, like it had a vibe of like multiple different types of movies to me, just kind of looking at the pictures. I don't know, maybe like a Menu vibe a little bit where things start getting weird in the menu a little bit. And then, I just know it's a satirical thriller. And I love those, starring Chris Evans, Anya Taylor-Joy, Vincent Cassel, Salma Hayek, John Malkovich. Just Charlie XCX is in this one too, just realized.
Yeah.
She's in 2 movies this year, but this is the other one apparently. And Young Lean. But I'm just really interested in this because you got a great cast and I'm interested to see if Chris Evans can kind of do something, because Chris Evans, for whatever reason, seems like the one, he's done a lot of really good movies, but then kind of dipped out on it after, like, he just continues making the bag. Yeah. He did all the Marvel stuff, and instead of doing the one for you, one for me, he's just kind of like, I'm going to do Ghosted. I think that was him. I'm going to do
it was him.
All of these. I'm going to do Gray Man. So I'm interested to see him kind of in a role that might be stepping outside that finally. So...
I was trying to think of other movies where there's like terrorists that take over a charity gala of some kind. Like, I'm just thinking of that one scene in The Dark Knight where the Joker walks in and threatens people, but that like extended over the course of whole movie. It reminds me a little bit also of the book Bel Canto. I've never seen the movie version of that, but similarly, it's about like terrorists taking over. And but, you know, given that this is from filmmaker Romain Gavras, who has tackled issues of class and political violence in his previous film Athena, which was a really gripping film, potentially here stepping it up with a huge Hollywood cast. I think this one's really exciting. This is definitely one of the movies I'm most anticipating at the festival as well.
Same here. I almost put on that list of 5 to look out for. I honestly don't even know why I'm looking out for it. It's just cool idea.
It looks good.
Great cast. I haven't seen anything else from the director, so I'm not gonna pretend.
You've got to watch Athena, dude. I think you would really, really like Athena.
I'll try and add that to my watch list before I get there. Then, because just sometimes you just need a good premise, good cast. Good still, again, like Testament Manly, really good still. That does matter at the film festival when you know nothing about the movie. So
that's all you got to work on sometimes.
Exactly. So I'm hoping this one's good.
Yeah. Then I got 2 more I'll mention here, I guess. One of the bigger ones, I think, Gus Van Sant is finally returning and get Dead Man's Wire, which looks really interesting.
First movie in 7 years or something like that.
Like quite a while. Bill Skarsgård, Dacker Montgomery, Coleman Domingo, Al Pacino. Can't beat that cast. And I think it's recreating this true story from 1977 where there was a bunch of kidnappings going on and turned some guy into an eccentric folk hero. So looking forward to that. It looks good. And it's also at Venice. And that's so it's usually if it's at Venice, it's usually a good sign.
Yeah. And Gus Van Sant is just too good of a filmmaker to like not be out there making movies. It feels wrong that we haven't been getting more from him. But hopefully this is a nice return to form. It looks a little bit like it's set in a similar time period to Milk. Very different subject matter, but like
well, it's 77, I think. Yeah. 1977. That's similar. Milk was the 80s or something. Maybe it was 70s.
Yeah,
I should know that.
It might have started around the 70s, I think.
Yeah. And then the other one I'm looking forward to, mostly because I just like the actors in it, and I think the premise seems like it could be fun. Carolina Caroline with Samara Weaving and Kyle Gallner, who's my guy. So excited for that one. And it's by Adam Carter Ramier, who is the same guy who did Dinner in America, which I really liked. I was the one who liked it the most out of our group, but I think he's an interesting director. So I'm interested to see what he does with something that's a little bit more of like a bank robbery, straight up heist thing. So interested to see.
And I just watched Snack Shack on a flight recently.
Shack's great too.
Great movie. Yes. I have to watch Dinner in America, but Snack Shack, it was one of those ones I wasn't expecting much, and I watched it. I'm like, oh, this is a great movie.
Yeah, different but similar vibes. Like Dinner in America gets very aggressive, but it's also just adorable at the same time. But yeah.
You know, I know you're a huge fan of Dinner in America. That one, like, it's good. I wasn't completely sold on it. Snack Shack, I was completely sold by.
Yeah, love
so
Snack
this is
Shack
definitely
as well.
a very exciting filmmaker, Adam Ramier.
I think it's Ramier. I know I learned it for my video, and I'm so sorry I might have forgot it again. But very excited.
Reuniting with Kyle Gallner, that's pretty cool. So that was on my list as well. Carolina Caroline. Just also fun title to say. Carolina Caroline. What are you gonna go see next? I'm gonna go to see Carolina Caroline. Exactly. I'm gonna say that a lot.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, all right. Great picks from Amanda. Let me go through some of my most anticipated that they haven't covered already, because you guys both covered a lot of the movies I'm really excited for. But one that we have not mentioned yet is Rental Family. This is the new film that stars Brendan Fraser as an American actor working in Tokyo, struggling to find work, who signs up for this agency. There's this concept that exists in Japan of these agencies that will rent family members to you for whether it's like for special occasions or just for companionship and camaraderie. There's a pretty funny Conan O'Brien segment where he did some of this stuff in Japan. It sounds like a pretty intriguing premise and just a good match for a big-hearted actor like Brendan Fraser. Also worth noting here is that this is a movie from Searchlight Pictures. Searchlight, which I would go ahead and say pretty consistent in terms of their output of a pretty strong, like mid-budget dramas, and usually films that are in consideration for the Oscars. If you look at their slate for the rest of the year, they don't really have much. This is kind of seems like it's going to be their big fall awards push movie. And for a company like Searchlight to put their energy behind something like this, I would like to think that hints at least some kind of quality. So I don't know, maybe we're getting another Brendan Fraser Best Actor campaign in the future. The trailer that came out did seem kind of cute and fun. So I'm pretty intrigued by Rental Family.
Yeah, definitely one people are excited for. It is also a sold out premiere.
Yeah, I anticipate that's going to be a pretty buzzy one.
It's opening against Knives Out, so
yeah. I mean, he's got a lot of love
dedicated
right now in the film community. Like back when The Whale also was at TIFF, I think that was another one that was really, really hotly anticipated, a hard ticket to get. But
yeah,
So hopefully I like this one more than The Whale. We mentioned Steven Soderbergh a bit earlier. I'm going to bring up his new film, The Christophers. It was one of the first titles that TIFF announced for this year's festival. It's about the estranged children of a once famous artist who hire a forger to help him complete his unfinished works in private while working as his assistant. The forger is played by Michaela Cole. The elusive, once famous artist is played by Ian McKellen. And from the sounds of it, this is basically like a chamber comedy where the two are sort of discussing art and the value of art and their process with each other. Chase, you were talking about that earlier. That's one of your favorite types of movies to watch. I mean, with a cast like this and from Steven Soderbergh, I feel pretty excited about the possibilities here. You know, we haven't gotten like too much Michaela Cole since she absolutely stunned me with I May Destroy You, her series from a couple of years ago. So I'm also just excited to get some more Michaela Cole on my screen.
Absolutely. It's another one I'm really looking forward to, but I figured you'd have it covered.
I got you.
Yeah, really looking forward to this one. That's all I got to say.
Presence was still one of my favorites from last TIFF.
Dude, Presence was great. Black Bag's fantastic. You know,
Black Bag is awesome. Yeah.
He's a consistent guy.
Both movies that both of us had on our top 10 of the year so far.
Yeah.
So maybe we're going to talk about 3 Soderbergh movies by year end.
Maybe.
Yeah, dude just doesn't stop working. All right. Also on my list is Mile End Kicked. Shout out to Intercutie and our buddy Tyler, who said this is his most anticipated of the festival. It is the new film from director Chandler Levesque, who most recently, I believe, gave us I Like Movies. I Like Movies too. I Like Movies. I think a lot of people really responded to this. I want to say it was a TIFF premiere a couple years ago.
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just, you know, a set in a video store, right? And just seems like a person who can speak to fellow cinephiles in terms of our passion. I think that as people who are really interested in the arts, this is another movie that would potentially speak to us because it follows Grace, played by Barbie Ferreira. She's a 24-year-old music critic who moves to write a book about Alanis Morissette's classic album, Jagged Little Pill. I don't know. That's enough for me to be intrigued by it with that general premise and that director pairing. I think I'm always up for a movie that's about why culture and art is important and why it gives us life. And it sounds like this is a movie that will be in touch with those things. Let's talk a little bit about The Lost Bus. That is the new Paul Greengrass movie with Matthew McConaughey. We haven't had a lot of McConaughey on our screens recently, but he's back in this movie that's based on a true story about a bus driver who is trying to navigate raging wildfires in Northern California with a bus full of children. And if you just think about Paul Greengrass as a filmmaker, the guy behind, you know, United 93, the some of the Better Born movies, Captain Phillips recently, he's just very good at deriving tension from fraught situations, making like that kind of edge of your seat thriller that we don't get enough of. And with a star like McConaughey attached, I feel like that's going to be a really entertaining movie.
Yeah, I'm really hoping for the best with that one.
I think it's Apple TV, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or just Apple in general?
Yeah, Apple in general. But Apple, you know, has made some interesting films. We got F1 earlier this year. So I think hopefully that one will work out.
Yeah.
And then the last in my 5 most anticipated that I'll mention is Erupcja. This is a film that I'm personally quite excited for just because it has some personal connections to me because it's about a woman who goes on vacation in Poland, as I did not so long ago. That woman is played by Charlie XCX, intriguingly enough, one of several movies that she has lined up in the future. If you looked at her IMDb, she's got like 7 movies in the works right now.
Look at her go.
Including 2 that are here at TIFF, Sacrifice, which we mentioned, and this one. Also, interestingly, this is a movie about Bethany breaking away from a romantic itinerary planned by her doting boyfriend, who she fears will propose marriage to her. And as a doting boyfriend who just proposed in Poland to his girlfriend, I just feel like there might be some parallels that I'm intrigued by. Hopefully it goes better for me than I'm guessing it will for the characters in Erupcja. But I will be there for sure. Anyway, so those are the ones I'm most anticipating, but there's just a couple more that I thought were intriguing enough that we should maybe bring them up. Let's talk briefly about Christy. It is the new film starring Sydney Sweeney as a professional boxer. She's going through a bit of like a body transformation for this one. Have you maybe seen her putting in hours at the gym to prepare for this role? It is directed by David Michaud, who's an interesting director in his own right, having made films like Animal Kingdom, Rover, and The King. Where is your anticipation level for Christy? Because it is a movie that features Sydney Sweeney taking a chance and trying to expand what we expect from her on screen, but is it outside of where you think her range might be?
That's what I don't know. I did not necessarily get the impression from Madam Web that she was an action person. I get that this isn't technically action, but it does have Katie O'Brien from
Yes.
Love Lies Bleeding in it, I'm assuming as the main opponent. Interested to see it. I am just worried if it's going to be in Sydney's wheelhouse, but
Right.
We'll have to see. They took a chance on her, so I hope that bodes well.
I'm going to go the more optimistic route.
Yeah.
The description TIFF is giving, it's her career best performance. Whether we agree with that or not, we will find out when we get
Okay,
there.
okay. Look at her career.
I'm somebody, I'm
if
not the
we're-
biggest Sydney Sweeney fan, but I do
I like
think
Sydney
she is
Sweeney.
capable of delivering good, maybe not good performances, but she's really good in a lot of, there's a lot of
I
times
like
I'm
Sydney
watching
Sweeney.
her.
I'm being mean.
And
Yeah,
I'm
I like
like,
Sydney Sweeney.
she's fine. And then she has a moment where I'm like, oh, she's great.
Like
you know?
Euphoria,
So,
she's really strong in Euphoria.
Yeah.
She's fun in Anyone But You.
the
Yeah.
last scene of Immaculate, she blew my mind.
She's
I know a lot of
awesome.
people don't like that movie,
Actually,
but I'm like,
kinda
holy
forgot-
shit.
Kind of
She's
forgot about
great.
Immaculate.
Yeah.
She's good in that. She's good
Eden,
at
she has a
screaming while
scene
pregnant.
similar
Yeah,
in-
good at screaming while pregnant.
Yeah. So if she could bring that
yeah,
full
that
circle into
energy.
one consistent performance, I do think she has it in her. I think the movie will end up being like one of those solid movies that you throw on with your family. You're like, that was a really heartfelt story and you never think of again. I
Yeah,
hope it's
that's-
more than that though.
Yeah,
So
we'll find out.
Yeah.
I also am a Madam Web truther, so I do think she's funny
you
in
go.
that. Okay, so wait. Okay, her career's fine. Her career is fine. Continue.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, we don't know how much she can stretch herself as an actress. I've been a fan of most of the things that she has done. I'm intrigued by this. I like for a young actor who is in this position of trying to choose their own projects to put themselves out there in this way. Do I think she's gonna be an Oscar contender? Probably not, but you know, hopefully the movie's at least good. I mean, boxing movies are one of the more reliable,
True.
dramatic features for a young actor. So hopefully this one's good.
Yeah.
Sticking with sports, I am also pretty curious about a movie called Youngblood. This apparently is based on the Rob Lowe hockey film in the 80s, but they're sort of updating it in its own way by putting a black actor in the starring role and the added baggage that comes with in a young black prodigy entering the world of hockey. So I'm curious to see what they have going here. The plot description refers to it as a film that's sort of about the toxic behavior that happens behind the scenes in the locker room, as well as dealing with race. And I just think there's that film coming out with, I think Justin Tipping directed, that Jordan Peele is producing, called Him, that a lot of people are excited for. This might be
Yeah.
another film exploring the sort of toxic masculinity and leery underworld behind professional sports. And I like hockey, so I'm curious to see it against the juxtaposition of hockey. You know, Canadians like hockey a lot, so it might be a receptive audience north of the border.
I didn't have it on my list, but I think you just sold me. I'm gonna try and
There
check
we
that
go.
out now.
Yeah, let's go
Sounds
see it.
interesting. Yeah.
Awesome. Have either of you seen anything about the film Amoeba?
No.
This one was not one that jumped out to me at first. Caitlin put it on my radar, and it just has some little things in the plot description that I found really intriguing. It's about 4 teenage girls who form a gang as an act of resistance in a country where
I did
chewing
This
gum
one.
and
Yes.
feeding
I just
pigeons
forgot
is
that.
illegal.
Yeah. Just forgot
Yeah.
that was what it was called.
Yeah, so this is a Chinese film, or it's in Mandarin, although I think it was
I think it's Singaporean.
Singaporean production, right? A really, really intriguing premise. I like these films that are sort of young people coming of age, discovering themselves movies, and plus with that sort of threat at the center of the plot. I don't know. It seems exciting. So I'm going to try and make some time for Amoeba. I'm also going to try and make some time for Poetic License. I was a bit surprised
Same.
to see this on the rundown. We're getting a Maud Apatow directed feature film. I have been a big fan of Judd Apatow's. I've followed his career a lot, so I've, in a way, seen Maud Apatow grow up. Now she is making films of her own, and I'm inclined to believe that there's going to be some similarity in terms of the spirit of this kind of movie and Judd Apatow's comedies, given that lineage. You have Andrew Barth Feldman, Cooper Hoffman, and Leslie Mann starring in this film, so that's also quite exciting. I could see this going either way, but I don't know. I'm bought in enough on the Apatow family that I'm definitely curious about Poetic License.
Yeah, it's on my list too. I'm trying to make space for that one.
I'll wrap it up here with just two more titles that I think are intriguing. One, Amanda mentioned briefly, Blue Heron, which is the feature debut from Sophie Ramvari. This is a movie about a young child and the experiences she has growing up, and the sort of tumultuous family life that she's dealing with. It won a award at the Locarno Film Festival, I think last week. So this is a film that's already coming in with some rave reviews. Robert Daniels, who's a critic that whose work I like quite a bit, gave it 4.5 stars, and he's not one who normally gives hyperbolic praise. So
True.
I don't know. I'm hopeful that Blue Heron is going to be a moving film. Something that's going to maybe be moving me in a different direction is Exit 8. I don't know how much you've checked out this one.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. It's got great reviews already.
Yeah, this one is a film that is based on a video game that I picked up. It's only $3.99 in the PlayStation Store, so pretty easy to pick it up and just like fuck around with it for like an hour. Basically, in the game, you are in like a subway tunnel and you're on floor 0 and you have to exit on floor 8, and you just go forward. Or if you see something that looks off, you go back, and that's all it is. It's really simple, but it's the way that these little differences sort of jump out to you in scary ways. It's not like a jump scare movie, but it's more like an unsettling atmosphere that throughout. And the game sold me on the vibe right away. So if the movie can capture some of that, I think it'll be really exciting, a really fun horror vision. The trailer for the movie looks exactly like the game. So I think it'll be fun.
And it already has good reviews at a con. And, so that's a good sign.
Our buddy Ewan gave it 4 stars. Our buddy Carson, who will also be at TIFF with us, gave it 3.5. So I'm intrigued by this one. I'm definitely hoping that it'll be the thing that scares me at TIFF, because there's always, with the midnight section, 1 or 2 pretty good horror movies there. I'm hoping this is going to be one of them.
You said you could play the game in like an hour, probably?
Well, it's because it's because if you're bad at figuring out if you're bad at figuring out what the obstructions are, or the whatever they're called.
So for me, it's like really 17 hours.
Exactly. I mean, it's basically a simple puzzle game. I think you can get the vibe in 15 minutes of playing it, but I sat and played it for about 90 minutes. I thought it was fun.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely try and check that out before we leave then. That sounds cool.
Cool. All right, so we're going to wrap up our preview here. Any last movies we should just rapid fire mention before we hop off this recording?
Yeah, there's one called Kokuho.
I don't know. It's on my radar.
That is, I think it's premiered somewhere, so it had reviews. It's a Yakuza story. Seems interesting. Already has really great reviews, so that's what put it on my list. Franz looked interesting. I don't know much about it, but it looked like a good one. Again, I'm just forgetting details on things. So if you want to start rapid firing the other ones that looked interesting to you.
Franz was one of those on my list as well. It's from the director Agnieszka Holland, who's probably like the most famous female Polish director. Did Green Border recently, which is a really great movie.
Yes. Yeah.
I definitely have Franz on my radar as well. Chase, were there any ones that popped out to you?
Yeah, Normal almost made my list, from Ben Wheatley. He made High Rise and Free Fire, which I wasn't the biggest fans of, but the concept sounds interesting. Off the top of my head, it's something like he plays a cop and the whole town is in on this conspiracy theory and he's the only one not in on it, and he's trying to prove that there's a conspiracy theory. I don't know much about it other than the director is interesting, to say the least. It's in the Midnight Madness category, so you know it's going to be some sort of wild adventure. So I'm pretty intrigued. If it gets really good reviews, I'll definitely want to check that one out. I think the concept sounds interesting. So
nice. I'm intrigued by Dust Bunny. It is a new movie by Brian Fuller, who's made a lot of TV that I've enjoyed, including Pushing Daisies and Hannibal. This one is in the Midnight Madness category, and it's about a 10-year-old girl who hires a hitman played by Mads Mikkelsen to kill the monster under her bed. It's intriguing enough, and I like the guy behind it. I'm also intrigued by Left-Handed Girl, which is a movie that is from Sean Baker's longtime producing partner, Shi Ching-so. I think this movie played to good reviews at Cannes, and Netflix picked it up as well. So want to see it on the big screen before it lives on a streaming service forever. And then one more that I'll throw out a quick word for. I don't go out of my way to see a lot of documentaries at TIFF just because there's so many movies and so little time. I might try to make some time for Orwell 2 + 2 = 5, not just because the title is pretty cool, not just because it feels like 1984 and Orwellian ideas are constantly being discussed in our current climate and the way that technology and surveillance and things like that are progressing, but also because this is from Oscar-nominated filmmaker Raoul Peck, who made I Am Not Your Negro, the James Baldwin documentary a couple of years ago. Generally a very interesting documentarian, so I like the man behind it, and I'm just intrigued by the little bits I know about the film as well. So yeah, there's a lot of movies that we did not mention that are also going to be very, very cool and hopefully great films. Our favorite film might not even be one that we mentioned in this preview, but let us know what movies you're excited for at TIFF. I'm always intrigued by what the Intercuties are planning to see. I know there'll be a few Intercuties traveling to Toronto, so if you've got some plans to see specific movies, definitely let us know. But I think that's about all for our preview of the 2025 Toronto International Film Festival. Our show's theme is Green Lightning by Cal Sendry. Thanks so much to them for letting us use it, and find more of their music at the link in our episode description. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd at ZShevich. That's ZShevich. And you can also find my videos anywhere you find videos at Multiplex Show Chase. Where can people find more from you?
This is my name, Chase Azarian. You can find it on YouTube. YouTube channel's been pretty inactive this year, but I got some videos out, but there'll be a lot more coming after Toronto. So yeah, check out what I'm up to there. I'm cooking behind the scenes. I promise. I'm not just saying that and not cooking anything. So be sure to check me out there. And if you run into me into Toronto, I'm going to be like, who are you? Nice to meet you. And I promise I'm approachable. There's not a lot of approachable people. You can approach me. We'll have a good time. We'll meet by the hot dog cart. Can't wait to be back in Toronto.
Yeah, well, you definitely can buy us a hot dog if you see us in Toronto. Amanda, when can people anticipate some of your coverage of TIFF coming out?
Some of it's just going to depend on when movies come out and how they're releasing. We'll hope to have that TIFF dedicated video out within like a week or a week and a half from the festival.
Nice. You can always find all of Amanda's content at Amanda the Jedi, and I'm sure both of you will be back here discussing TIFF movies with me very soon. Looking forward to that. You can listen to every episode of the Intercut podcast on iTunes, Pocket Casts, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcatcher is. I use Overcast, and then make sure you subscribe not just to the audio podcast, but to the video feed as well on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/intercutpod, where you can catch our much anticipated, our very intrigued faces. There we go. As we go through the latest in entertainment, find new episodes of Intercut every Monday, and please leave a comment, like the videos, consider heading over to iTunes to give us the much requested 5-star review. Like our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter pages, support our Patreon. You can find all of them at Intercut Pod, and those are great places to get updates throughout the week from Art, from Amanda, from Chase, from me, from everybody that we feature here on Intercut. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, the 50th anniversary of a film festival happens only once every 50 years.